Hey everyone, to help with creating a campaign and modding, I have created a level editor in my Space Arcade game. So you can get to it from the dev menu and then level editor, and I'll take you to this screen. The level editor has the ability, if you hit T, you'll go into cursor mode and you can select the UI over here with cursor mode. You also can press G, which gives you the debugging environmental view, so you can see all the stars that make up the environmental stars. And you can also use this for debugging other things like stars, planets, and nebula. So the first thing that this UI on the left has is the ability to load and save levels. And as you can see, I've already created quite a few. But you can create a new level, and the way you do that, so this is like if you're going to make a mod and make a new campaign in the mod, is you give the level a file name. So I'll call it test level as file name, and then you can give it a user space name, and I'll call it Earth. And after I do that, add a new level, and then down here you can or somewhere in here you can find it. And I misspelled Earth, but you can click it, and it will load the level, and you can actually switch between levels like that. So, anyways. Under the environmental section, there are three subsections. There's stars, planets, and nebula. Under stars, this is for like a local star, such as for a solar system. So imagine like our sun. So you can push a new star into the scene, and you get this huge star. And what you can do is actually back that star up a bit. So I'm going to increase the distance. And the way you control stars is you control the distance at which the star is, and then you can change the direction that the star is pointing at from the origin. So if we look in the debug view by pressing G, you can see what's happening here is it's kind of spinning around the center of the origin. Anyways, that is how you place the star, and you can actually push more than one star. So for example, we can take a second star and we'll scoot it out a bit and maybe set it, make like a binary star system where there's two stars in the solar system. And we can change the color to like red or yellow. You can do it really whatever you want. Anything that's on this color wheel. And so that's how you add stars. But then after you've added a star, you can go under planets and add a new planet. And it has a similar interface in that you control the distance of the planet, and you control the direction from the origin that the planet is. So you can see that the planet is actually lit based on where the stars are. And since the star has a yellow light, we're getting this kind of strange look on the planet. So we could go back to our stars and tweak that star's color, turn it down just a bit. And in fact, let's just delete that second star. So if you look at the stars, you can pop a star, which takes it off the last star. So you need to save it, otherwise you lose your work. Anyway, so now that we've removed the second star, you can see that the lighting is a bit more normal. And this is a planet that is generated from Earth, so it's just a green area with clouds. But you can actually set a custom texture, or you can just use one of the default textures. And there are a few default textures that I've created from NASA images. And some of these last ones are used to generate an Earth-like texture. So you actually combine multiple of these, but that is not covered here. Anyways, so once we find a planet that we like, we can tweak the stars and change the light location on the planet. And if you change the color, you change the effect on the planet, those kind of things. After pushing a star, you can also push a nebula, or add a nebula. So if we add a nebula, there is where the nebula is, and you can change its scale. So we can scale up the nebula, scale down. You can also tweak its color, so you might want to pull this back just a little bit. And now we've created a kind of gassy area in the solar system, and you can create different colors. So for example, you can have a slightly pink nebula here, and then we can push another one, make it yellow. Or, whoops, I'm affecting the original nebula. But if we go to the second nebula on this list and change the color, you can get these, you can create these kind of atmospheric effects. The nebula work a little bit different in terms of movement. You move the transform instead, so you can still position it in the sky, like we could put it at a star to make the star look like it's glowing. But the way this is working is it's actually moving the X, Y, and Z location of the nebula. So after you've figured a level, you can go under the world objects, and you can actually add avoidance meshes. This selects the this creates a list of things to select based off your spawn configs. So if I select this asteroid that I made, it spawns there, and I'm able to move it around and scale it up. Though I've found that these are, if they're large, are not very performant, so I haven't really been using them because they occupy a large number of spatial hash cells. So if you use them, keep them small, and so that they're about on the order of magnitude of a fighter, a spaceship fighter, so that way they don't occupy a lot of spatial hash cells, and I think the performance should be fine. But if we go under the game mode placements, here we can set the spawn locations for each team. So I've added the ability for you to choose which team you prefer. In the standard mod, it's either red or blue team, but if you make a mod, you could make whatever you want as the teams. So all you have to do is place your camera, and we'll say set team 0, and now we have the spawn point. So this is where the team 0 will load into the level, and we'll make opposing that, we'll set the team 1. So now that's where team 1 will spawn. Generally, you probably want to do that after you've placed your carriers, though. So on that note, what you can do is, by default, there's 2 carriers created for you, but you can create more. But what you need to do is pick what is the model you want for the carrier. So I want to choose a carrier, and that is a model that I configured in the model editor again. And so you can position this with X, Y, and Z. You just drag these little things around, and this is team 0's carrier, so I'm going to place it over there near that spawn. And when the game actually plays, it will spawn the objectives on the carrier, but for the level editor, you don't see the objectives. It's just using a very shallow copy of what will spawn. So let's go to the other team, choose carrier, and we will move this around so that it's near that spawn point. I don't have 3D gizmos on there, so unfortunately you have to drag the input variables in the UI. So now that you have placed with carriers, you can save it and actually play this level. I threw this level kind of together hastily, so I don't really want to play this one, but we will play another one. Do note that if you click play level, it will save this level. I don't really want to save this, so we can just pick a random level that I created. For example, level 6. Let's pick a different one. Maybe this is probably fine. So this one had a little bit of work put into it, and if we play this level, now spawns us in the world, and the battle starts. And I've chosen that I want it to be on the red team, so I need to take down the blue carrier. Now I don't necessarily want to finish this battle, so what I will do is exit this out and restart it. So now we're back in the level editor. Another thing that I've created is the campaign loading and saving. So you can create a campaign here, and I've already created one. So this is campaign 0. So back from my UI videos, I laid out how I wanted the campaign, but it didn't actually have levels yet. And once you've created a campaign, you can actually visually debug it by clicking the Show Campaign Widget checkbox. And this will show your campaign in front of you. I've reset my save file, so I do not have the entire campaign unlocked, so I can unlock and complete all levels of campaign, run that cheat, and then we will toggle that on and off. And now we can see the campaign. The lasers are a little buggy because they're meant to be viewed in the main menu, but you're just in the level editor viewing it. So that's the campaign, and that campaign is actually laid out right here. So you can see that there's all these levels, and I've divided them into tiers, which are the columns. And you can select it with those, but there's columns that you can play. So over here, the tier is the column, and you can select it and change its properties. The levels that we created, we need to hook up to these UI things. So, for example, if we wanted to change the level for level 1, we would go up here, we'd find level 1, and then we would select out of all our levels what we want level 1 to actually be. And then after configuring all of these, you can save the campaign, and now when you go to the main menu, you will actually be able to play your campaign and play the levels that you created in the level editor. So that's this update. It's quite a lot of bugs. I think I will try to solve those bugs and then maybe make a test mod using different models or something just to make sure that the modding tools work, and we'll see what's needed after that. Thanks.